This is Newsmax TV. I'm Ashley Martella, and we're joined by a couple of very prominent people in the fiscal conservative movement, former House Majority Leader Dick Armey and Jenny Beth Martin, the national coordinator of Tea Party Patriots. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you may know, Mr. Armey is the chairman of the conservative nonprofit organization Freedom Works. That group was the national sponsor of the September 12th March on Washington to protest runaway government spending. Well, Congress shows no signs of becoming fiscally responsible. They just passed a $1.1 trillion spending bill. The budget for the current fiscal year is $3.6 trillion. As you can imagine, there is no shortage of pork, $4 billion of it. Let me start with you, Representative. When and how are they ever going to get the message that saddling our kids and grandkids with this kind of debt is devastating?
Well, they have every opportunity to get the message. The grassroots activist movement has been in every town hall meeting across the country. We presented them with this message. Right now, we still deal with the people in Washington that haven't had the ears to hear. And they've been trying to kid themselves that this is not a real movement. That's why it's so important that we continue. We will have grassroots demonstrations of our concerns for this country's fiscal well-being today, tomorrow, next week, between now and then. And of course, we will have some feature events too, around which we will be able to complement the important events that are going on in every congressional district in America. As they get closer to their day of re-election, their willingness to listen to the constituents back home heightens, and as we see this opportunity, we're going to make our presence more felt. And I'm sure, Jenny Beth, you've got many plans for your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. When we were here in September, we asked, can you hear us now? We know Congress can hear us. They're just ignoring us and not listening. So we're going to keep the pressure on. We have events planned throughout the country tomorrow, today, and then we've got things coming up throughout the coming weeks, including on April 15th again. We're going to have another major round of tea parties across the country. There'll be tax day tea parties for the second year in a row. We'll have one in DC, and we'll also have hundreds, probably over 1,000 this year or next year around the country.
Jenny Beth, we know your Tea Party Patriots have the ears of people like House Minority Leader John Boehner, Representative Michelle Bachmann, and some other fiscal conservatives. But what about the majority Democrats?
Well, we're reaching out to them. We're letting them know how we feel. What we want, regardless of party affiliation, we want elected officials who will be fiscally responsible, ensure constitutionally limited government and free markets. Those are our core principles. It's what united people on tax day of this year, on September 12th, and what continues to unite us and make us strong.
Representative, some on the left appear to have thought that once the Tea Party protests were over, you guys were just going to go away. But you're not about to do that, are you?
No, we're not. And you know, the fact that I was thinking about it every day. We work hard for our families, our children every day. We pay our taxes every day. Some portion of our earnings goes to the taxes. We feel the burden. I was just commenting to somebody today in the airport as I was leaving Texas for Washington. Look, you know, it's bad enough that they're putting me in the poorhouse, but they need to leave my grandchildren alone. And so they go back, they'll think, well, you know, Congress is in recess, so I get to go home and rest. No, you don't get to go home and rest. You get to go home and listen to real people who are paying the burden for your folly. And if you won't listen, we'll help you find a career outside of government.
Mr. Majority Leader, you know how it works in Washington. Please tell us, do you think the so-called blue dog Democrats in the House are too easily bought off by Pelosi, Hoyer, and company?
Well, there's an old song called Coca-Cola Cowboy. These guys, lots of these times, they're trying to put on a presentation for folks back home that I'm different than Nancy Pelosi and this kind. But the key question is, when the votes get tough, where are they on that? And the fact of the matter is, we have, you know, it's not enough to say, I vote right for you 90% of the time, so give me a break. I'm talking about the 10% where your vote really made a difference that I'm concerned about. And all members of Congress, in my estimation, need to understand the fundamental burden that belabors the American economy today is a overbloated, gluttonous government that's stealing resources and opportunity away from the private sector and must be reined in. And you can't, put up some kind of a, what should I say, blue dog smokescreen and get away with it. We're going to hold you to your commitment to preserve the Constitution with our liberties. Where do they get the idea that there's anyway a constitutional opportunity for Congress to mandate to any citizen alive that they must buy this product or they cannot go in the international market and buy, for example, prescription medicines? Where do they think these authorities come from? They certainly don't come from our Constitution.
Speaking of that, the polls show a majority of Americans oppose the Democrats' health care reform plan. And while it appears that Senate Majority Leader Reid doesn't have the 60 votes he needs now, he is trying to come up with, via Louisiana Purchase or whatever, he's still trying to come up with the votes. What is your group trying to do to stop this government takeover and rationing of health care?
We're going to be visiting with our senators and telling them, making sure that they hear us, that we do not want this bill to pass. 61% of the American people disapprove of this legislation. They need to represent us, we the people.
Yeah, and while we're in D.C. tomorrow making a point directly to the senators where they work, we will also, for example, I will be leaving directly from there to go to Arkansas, where you have a very important senator that's a swing vote in this matter, to remind her that we are also raising our voices where you live and where your constituents live. I'm sure we'll have events in Nebraska, key states.
Absolutely.
With key votes.
You're speaking of Blanche Lincoln in Arkansas, you're not?
Right.
What do you intend to do to pressure Senator Lincoln?
Well, in her home state of Arkansas, grassroots activists, including Tea Party Patriots, will, in fact, I'm sure the Tea Party Patriots organize the event in Arkansas. They will make a presentation before her office, again, of their concerns that she might go along with this foolhardy scheme to have the federal government take over the healthcare sector of the United States and have federal government administration of our healthcare. She needs to get that message in Washington, which she'll get tomorrow, but also at home, because she's going to be going back to Arkansas and asking those folks to give her job back. She needs to get a good read on what their mood is on this critically important subject. After that, come April, we'll probably be talking about something like a cap and trade or some other massive big government scheme that's risky to the well-being of the American people.
All right. Our friend Senator Jim Inhofe tells us cap and trade doesn't stand a prayer of passing the Senate. Yet, EPA Administrator Lisa Jackson announced recently she has the power to regulate greenhouse gases, and she intends to do just that. Now, do you think this is a potentially dangerous power grab by the Obama administration?
It certainly is. It puts me in mind of the Pointer Sisters' great song, Mr. Big Shot, Who Do You Think You Are? I mean, Congress created the EPA. Congress defines the mission of the EPA. If I were in Congress, I would right now feel a great insult. Who is this agency that's going to tell me that if I don't pass a law that makes them happy, they're going to just assume the power to take command of a major sector of American economic and even civic activity? Who do they think they are? It is way out of control in my estimation.
Former House Majority Leader Dick Armey and Tea Party Patriots National Coordinator Jenny Beth Martin, thank you, both of you, so much for spending time and sharing your views with us here at Newsmax.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV. Sarah Palin's new book, Going Rogue in American Life, will be released on November 17th. You can be among the first to get your copy. Check out our incredible free offer for Sarah's new book. Just go to Newsmax.com and click on the top banner for this great offer. Act today.